time and being here. As many of you know, today's session is going to be how you can transform teaching with personalized instruction using ALEKS. Now, when we talk about personalized instruction, perhaps you've learned this term so many times before, but ALEKS is the winner of last year's STEM Education Award, and it's a program that helps you close learning gaps, and you students can get back on track. You exactly know what topics they need to master on and what topics they're struggling with. I think I will hold off at that and let Shahid talk more about ALEKS, but the session is going to last for 60 minutes. And will be led by my friend and my colleague, Shahid Ahmed. I'd like to thank him for joining today. It's really early for him. Thank you, Shahid, for being here.
It's my pleasure, Sarish, anytime.
And before I actually hand over, and I have, as usual, forgot to introduce myself. So I am Sarish Shuja, for those of you who do not know me, and I'm a marketing manager at McGraw Hill. I am your moderator for today, and we do want to keep this very interactive. A lot of people are asking, I'm a science teacher, does that help? I think if you're teaching chemistry, that should help you. If you're teaching math, this session is for you. I'll repeat, if you're teaching math, this session is for you. If you're teaching chemistry, yes, this is for you. If you're teaching English, I'm not sure. I don't think this section will be useful to you.
I will say, sorry, I will say that if you are interested in learning about the latest in math learning technology, you might be a parent perhaps that has kids that have, that are kind of taking math courses, you might still find it useful. But I would say predominantly for math and chemistry teachers, or probably any teachers that are involved in STEM education as well.
Right. Thanks, Shahid. And before I move on, again, I thank you, Shahid, for being here. This is my lovely colleague and friend, Shahid. Shahid, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the session who have not heard of you before. And please, these are not me and Shahid's recent photos. That's not how we look now. But for the sake, we just have our photos there on the screen. Shahid, do you mind introducing our audience? Tell us something about yourself, just a few words.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Sarish, and thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Shahid Ahmed. I am currently a product enablement manager for McGraw Hill in our international unit. I was previously leading our Middle Eastern implementation and customer success team, and I think I've been talking about ALEKS now for upwards of 7 to 8 years. I've successfully implemented ALEKS at many higher ed and K-12 institutions, including but not limited to the Ministry of Education in the UAE, multiple universities across Saudi Arabia, the Levant region, North Africa, and Egypt as well. You can see some of the institutions I've worked with on your screen right now. But I've been lucky to have been exposed to ALEKS quite a lot, and hopefully I can share some of those learnings with you today. And I hope you share the same enthusiasm that I do with the ALEKS platform by the end of the session today. Thank you, Sarish.
Thanks, Shahid. I know he's really passionate about ALEKS, and I'm glad that he can share a few details with us. Now, before, honestly, I move on, I keep saying I'll pass over to Shahid, but one last time, I want to do a poll, and no, that's not what I was supposed to share. I'm going to run a poll right now, and I want you to participate at the poll. So let me know, Shahid, if you can see my screen.
I can.
Excellent. So I want you to go to www.minty.com, and or you can scan the thing on your right side, the QR code that's on your right side. There are only 2 questions in the poll, but will really help us personalize this session, how we can take it forward. So go to www.minty.com and you will enter the code 29902963. And I can see on the right side, on the bottom of my screen, this is 6 people who have already logged in, 8 people who have logged in. I'll give you a few seconds to get through this. You can either scan the code on your the screen on the right side, or you can go to www.minty.com and enter the code 29902963. And so far we have 20 people in already. Just going to give you a few seconds. If you've just joined us, welcome to the session. We have not begun as yet officially, so you haven't missed much. We're just running a poll currently before I hand over to Shahid. And if you can just go to www.minty.com and enter the code 29902963, you will be in this session in the poll that we're running. And I have 43 people as of now, just giving it a few more seconds. I thought, okay, we've crossed 50, I guess, so we can go. Shahid, and at any point you can't see my screen, let me know. Okay, so have you heard of ALEKS? Yes or no? Use your, if you can use the, if you've logged in again, I'll tell you how you can. Have you heard of ALEKS? Yes or no? Please log into minty.com. You can use the code that's showing up on the top of my screen. There's 77 people here. Have you heard of ALEKS? Yes or no? Okay, I think Shahid, that gives us a fair idea.
That's good to know.
Okay, and the last one is one more question for you. Moving on. What does personalized instruction mean to you? You can type your answer. You have 3 options. You can even type one answer and just, it will show up on our screen here. So what does personalized instruction mean to you? This is just knowing what you think. I think there are a couple of answers coming in the chat as well. The code, please.
Yeah, I think for some users, you might have to close the little dialog box that opens at the top of your screen to see the code, which just might be hidden behind it.
Actually, yes. Thanks, Shahid. The code is 2990. So join at www.minty.com and you can use the code 29902963. I'll type it in the chat box while Shahid, do you want to read out the answers that are coming in? I'll just
I think everyone's people's responses to personalized instruction are differentiation being the main one out there, tailor-made instruction, suited for each student. These are all the phrases and words that we see resonate with, personalized learning. So that's fantastic. There's some others out there. Yeah. Pace of learning.
Special, yes.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your responses. I think all of them make sense. So I will, at this point, stop sharing and hand over to Shahid. Over to you, Shahid. And any questions at all, we do want to keep this interactive. The chat box is open. The Q&A box is open. I'll make a note of the questions and we'll cover them towards the end of the session, hoping we have time. Thanks, Shahid. Over to you.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for joining once again. It's a pleasure to speak to you today about ALEKS. My name is Shahid, and today I'll be walking you through a little bit through the ALEKS platform and how ALEKS handles personalized instruction in the realms of math and chemistry. A little bit of an intro about ALEKS as we kick off, and just to give you an idea of what we're going to be covering today in the time we have together. I will be introducing ALEKS. I saw we had a lot of responses of people on this webinar who have never heard of ALEKS before, so I'll hopefully do a good job of introducing ALEKS to you, what ALEKS is, what it covers, and where it comes from. Then we will explore the student interface to see how a student experiences ALEKS for the first time as they go through the platform, the different kind of features they face, the different kind of learning paths that they encounter. We'll take a step back after that to explore the teacher or the administrator point of view. I think we had a little bit of a chat earlier on, and we saw that there were not just teachers that are on this call today, but we also have curriculum coordinators, people in administrative positions. So I will talk a little bit about we will explore the interface for teachers and admins as well. And then we'll close it off by, going over what McGraw Hill's commitment to, implementing ALEKS is. And if you do decide to trial ALEKS or to use ALEKS in your school, in your classroom, what are the steps that we can take in order to get you there, right? And all of the support and help that we can offer to make sure that you have a successful, first experience with ALEKS. Now, without further ado, let me introduce ALEKS to you. Now, what is ALEKS? ALEKS stands for Assessment and Learning in Knowledge Spaces. It is an entirely web-based and artificially intelligent assessment and learning platform. Now, how ALEKS works, and we will explore a lot of this in detail when we go through the platform as well, but how ALEKS works is it can determine very accurately within any scope of mathematics, within any grade level, it can determine what mathematical topics a student knows and what they are now ready to learn, right? It does this through a series of steps that I'm going to walk you through. But just to take a step back, ALEKS does cover curriculum across grades 3 to 12. There are features of ALEKS that can be useful to elementary school students as well, but more often than not, we do see it being very effective from grades 3 across 12. ALEKS is, if this is a question you might have had as we were entering into this conversation, ALEKS is completely aligned to Common Core, and it is a core part of the Reveal Math program. ALEKS exists outside of Reveal Math, but it can also be seen as an accompaniment to Reveal Math as a remediation or acceleration platform. And the final, technical point that you might be curious about is that we do have completely seamless integration with Open Learning Platform. So if you are a McGraw Hill user, if you've used Connect Ed or Open Learning Platform before, there are direct integrations with that allow for single sign-on and all of the functionalities that you can come to expect from a digital platform, right? Now, I just wanted to, before we dive right into the ALEKS platform, I wanted to give you a little bit of a history of where ALEKS comes from. So ALEKS as a platform was developed by software engineers, teachers, mathematicians, and cognitive scientists at the University of California many decades ago. I think mid-90s is when the work around this was completed. Now, following decades of research that was conducted in the US, supported by the US National Science Foundation, all of these people came together to develop ALEKS. Now, ALEKS is built on the knowledge space theory, which states that knowledge as we know it is not linear. We know that every single learner, especially in the realms of quantitative subjects like mathematics, navigate through topics differently, and they do that at their own unique pace. It is in our best interest as educators to accommodate for this difference in pace, right? And we definitely want to create these individualized learning pathways, because the research shows, the science shows that it can immensely help accelerate mastery of mathematical concepts. Now, all of this led to the creation of ALEKS. And today I'm going to walk you through the platform. And as I do it, if at any point in time you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Now, before we jump into the live platform, I just wanted to kind of help you visualize how ALEKS works. Consider your average math course. You could say grade 5, grade 7, grade 6, take any grade level, right? Let's say these hollow circles you see on your screen right now are a mathematical concept. We know that for a student to reach a certain concept, they can gather that learning or gather that pathway from a variety of different options, right? No two student reaches a specific knowledge point in very much the same way. And ALEKS, the way that its algorithm functions, it's able to capture a student's knowledge and guide them forward to an optimal learning path based on what previous knowledge they have accumulated. Now, as the student works through these topics and through these topic clusters, the research that we have done show that they achieve upwards of 90% of rate of learning as they progress through these stages, right? So this will make a lot more sense as we go through the platform, but it's just to help you visualize how learning happens within your average mathematics course and how ALEKS can help guide that instruction and guide that student progress to achieve mastery over the content. Now, at this point, you guys have looked at enough slides. I feel like it's about time we jump into the live ALEKS interface. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a very quick second and show you what ALEKS looks like from the inside. Now, the first thing that you're looking at right now, if I can navigate to it, is the student interface on ALEKS, right? Now, I'm going to cut through, all of the fluff and show you exactly what it looks like when a student logs into ALEKS for the first time. As you can see at the top of my screen here, this is a demo for a grade 6 classroom. So a lot of the content that you're going to see in here is, aligned to the Common Core standards for grade 6. Now, the first thing that a student sees when they log in is a quick explanation of what ALEKS is and how it works. So ALEKS is a personalized way for every student to learn at their own speed. And how ALEKS works is it can figure out through a brief diagnostic what topics the student already knows, and then it can chart an accurate path to success for the student through a continuous cycle of assessment and learning. The first thing that the student does when they enter the ALEKS interface is go through a tools tutorial. We empathize with teachers, and working through the ALEKS platform, when you get a chance to do it, it will definitely show you that the teams have taken into account all of the issues that teachers experience. And with any digital platform, one of the main, I guess, concerns could be that it can be a learning curve for the students, right? They have to learn how to use the platform, how to input their answers, etc. So what ALEKS does for every student before they get started is teach them how to use the various tools within ALEKS. So once the student clicks the Get Started button, they immediately jump into the tools tutorial. Now here, this brings me to a fairly important point. Almost all of the questions within ALEKS are open-ended. There are very few multiple choice questions, and students really have to input their answers onto ALEKS. So in order to do that, ALEKS teaches this to the student, how they can input answers, how they can clear, how they can undo any changes they've made. And they can then move on to the next part of the tutorial where ALEKS will teach them how to input fractions, how to input mixed numbers, and different kind of mathematical expressions, right? It does this because we know that students would come back to the teachers with a lot of these questions, and we definitely don't want the burden of that instruction on you as well, right? Now, apologies for that. Now, now, because I'm on a demo account, I can skip through this tutorial, but it takes students on average of 5 to 10 minutes to complete the tools tutorial. Now, as I skip through it, it also teaches me as a student how to draw a graph or plot a graph. So students have to, demonstrate that they understand how to do this on the platform. And if there is a calculator that's enabled for the course, they also taught how to use the in-platform calculator. Now, once the student completes their tools tutorial, it then unlocks one of the benchmarks of ALEKS. We call this the initial knowledge check. It is essentially how ALEKS will determine the pre-existing knowledge state of each and every student in your class. It acts as a start of class diagnostic, and every student must take it, right? Now, as a student, when I start my initial knowledge check, again, it gives me a few prompts. It tells me to stay focused, not get distracted. You will notice that there's a lot of positive messaging throughout the ALEKS platform. Research has shown that it definitely helps students stay motivated, to keep focused as they move on through their learning. And then as this is a diagnostic assessment, students are advised to have somewhere to do their working, and as far as it is possible, to not get help from others. Even if they do, however, ALEKS does have ways to counteract that. And I'll talk more about that as we move on through the session. Finally, it tells them to take their time and simply try their best. Now, as the student gets started with their diagnostic, they get an example of the kind of question they're about to face, and they simply have to kick things off, right? Now, in the diagnostic, now this is a grade 6 course. So as a part of their initial knowledge check, a student will face a series of questions. It takes on average, a student about 30 to 45 minutes to complete their initial knowledge check. And as an implementation or a customer success team, we always try to recommend that teachers do or conduct this initial knowledge check in a controlled environment. We understand that it's not always possible to do so. But as far as it is, if you are there invigilating your students, making sure everyone is doing their own work, it will give you the most accurate responses to the knowledge check. Now, as a student, I have to simply answer this to the best of my abilities. If I need any help on answering this question in terms of the technical side, I have that right here. However, I don't have access to any answers or any explanations right here, right? This is simply a way for ALEKS to determine exactly what I know as I'm starting off my course. Now, because I'm on a demo account, I can skip through this, but I'll just give you an example of another question type. So let's say I click on I don't know. ALEKS will then drop me down to a lower level of questioning, right? If I answer the question correctly, it will bump me up. It will try and cover all of the standards within the grade 6 Common Core curriculum within this 30 to 45 minute diagnostic. Now, since I'm on a demo and I don't want to, embarrass myself on a grade 6 math quiz, I will skip through the knowledge check and just assume that I have a moderate knowledge of grade 6 math, right? Now, as soon as I hit the continue button over here, it determines that I have now completed my knowledge check. What the student then sees is a visual representation of their knowledge state represented in the form of a pie chart. We call this the ALEKS pie, and it is central to the learning that happens within ALEKS. On the right-hand side here, you see all of the subtopics within this pie. And if I click on any part of that, it shows me how many topics within, for example, the decimals subtopic that I as a student have already demonstrated mastery of, how many I have learned, which is 0, and how many are remaining. I'll talk more about the mastered, learned, and remaining categories. But for now, this shows me as a student exactly what I know, which is the colored parts of the pie, and the grayed out parts of the pie are everything that I have left to learn as part of my ALEKS course. Now, as I continue, it then opens up my ALEKS experience. And now that I've completed my diagnostic, I can begin working on ALEKS. Now, I spoke a little bit about the ALEKS algorithm and how it can present topics to students that they are 100% ready to learn. That is where the learning within ALEKS happens, right? So I can always click on the slide to get more info. And at any point in time on my student homepage, I have access to a timeline. A little bit more about the positive messaging within ALEKS is that every time a student completes a milestone, they receive a medal. I have completed my initial knowledge check on this day today. And as I progress and learn more within ALEKS, students will always see an upward trajectory within their ALEKS learning. It helps keep them motivated and keep them going with their mathematical work on ALEKS. Now, at this point that I've completed my initial diagnostic or my initial knowledge check, ALEKS has already charted an optimal learning path for me based on the responses that I have given, right? So in order to start my learning within ALEKS or my cycle of learning and assessment, a student then clicks on Start My Path. Now, as I click Start My Path, ALEKS will first present me with a learning topic. The topic at hand here is interpreting a tally table. The first thing that a student sees is the learning page. Now that we're here, ALEKS will give an example of the question to the student, a detailed explanation of how to answer that question, followed by the final answer. Students can read through this explanation and then go ahead and attempt the question, right? If they, for any reason, need additional help, they can jump back to the explanation again to learn or to read through it again. Now, this is simply the topic that ALEKS has decided is good for the student. However, there isn't at any point in time just a single topic that is open for the students to attempt. We like to give students the option to explore, across topics if necessary, with the guidelines set for them by their teachers on what topics they want to attempt and when. So for example, as a student right now, I can attempt this question on data analysis and probability, or I can simply choose to start off with ratios, proportions, and measurement. Again, here, it works in much the same way, right? Example of the question, a detailed explanation of how to answer the question, including definitions that could clarify anything that might confuse a student. So for example, why do we use the words input and output, right? More about the missing and just additional information that might be relevant to students are all available here, followed by the final answer. Now, that isn't it on the learning page. The learning page does have a lot more resources for the students to work with. For example, they have access to their textbook. This could be the Reveal Math course, which is already aligned with this. It could be any other textbook that you may choose to align with ALEKS. They have access to a dictionary of terms. So for example, if they're unfamiliar with what a function is or what a fact family is, they can very easily click on the button, which would then open up a definition of what a function is for them to read through. And then at any point in time, they have access to videos as well. These videos we found to be super useful for students, where they can actually view short lecture videos, the maximum about 3 to 4 minutes in length, where an actual lecturer is teaching this concept to the student, right? In a very short form video. So with the use of all of these resources, students can learn this particular topic or this particular concept, and then demonstrate that they can answer it now, when they're prompted to do so. Now, the student at this point is still on their learning path. Within their learning path, they can always jump back to the explanation, read through it again, and then go back in and attempt the answer. The bar you see on your top right corner is a momentum or a progress bar. It shows students how many questions they've answered in a row. It's part of the gamification of ALEKS, really, and it definitely helps keep students engaged, motivated, and they treat it like a game. They want to achieve 5 out of 5 and get that streak going to make sure that they can keep, increasing their learning and progressing through the topics on ALEKS. So this is how ALEKS handles instruction within the platform. Now, let me talk a little bit about assessment and what that means to topics mastered, topics learned, and topics remaining. Now, I'm going to go back to my student homepage right now and show you and talk to you a little bit about the categories here. Now, every time a student spends time on the learning path and answers a question correctly, what they do is they move topics from the remaining category into the learned category, right? So I'm working on my learning path. Let's say I answer a question about interpreting a tally table right here. I can then move that topic from the remaining bucket to the learned bucket. However, there is an assessment piece that is automated and that kicks in within ALEKS. The first part of that you saw was in the initial knowledge check, right? Because I demonstrated mastery over topics in the initial diagnostic where I had access to no answers and no explanations, I was able to master 205 topics. As I spent time in my learning path, I moved topics from remaining to learned. Now, what happens on ALEKS is that every time a student completes approximately 20 to 30 topics that they learn, or if they spent about 2 hours on the ALEKS platform, whichever happens first, what ALEKS will do is it will automatically trigger a progressive knowledge check. This is a progress knowledge check that tests the students. It assesses the students on everything that they've learned thus far. So how the flow works within ALEKS for the student is that they complete their initial knowledge check, they master a set number of topics. As they complete their learning within ALEKS, they move topics from the remaining category into the learned category. Periodically, ALEKS will present the student with a knowledge check where the student has access to no answers and no explanations. If the student can demonstrate that they've understood these concepts and demonstrate that they can answer them correctly in an assessment environment, they can then move those topics from the learned bucket into the mastered bucket. Over the course of time, a student keeps moving topics from remaining to learned to mastered, remaining to learned to mastered. However, it can work the other way around as well. And this is where the remediation and the knowledge retention piece within ALEKS is super important. Let's say, as a student, I've mastered 205 topics at the start of my course, right? However, it's now been a couple of months. I've forgotten a lot of what I've learned. I haven't really practiced my mathematics. If I go in, ALEKS will periodically present me topics that I have already mastered, right? And if I'm unable to answer them correctly, I can drop topics on ALEKS. So it will take topics away from my mastered and drop it back into the remaining category, allowing the student to refresh lost knowledge, to make sure that they've retained everything they've learned. And it also helps smooth out irregularities, right? For example, if Serish is a good friend of mine, I'm a math student, and Serish shows me a favor. I go to Serish and say, Serish, can you just do my math homework for me today, please, on ALEKS? I'm really busy today. And she goes in and she helps me with a lot of my math homework. Well, if I am faced with a knowledge check in the future and I'm unable to answer topics that Serish has answered for me, well, guess what? The topics are going to drop from the mastered back into the remaining category. So the way learning and assessment happens on ALEKS is very intuitive. It's completely adaptive and personalized for every student. And it does take into account issues around knowledge retention, around academic integrity, any kind of feature that might impact a student's knowledge growth and mastery over the subject matter. So that's a very brief kind of explanation of how learning and assessment within ALEKS happens. I could definitely go into a lot more detail about it, but I think for today's session, I will leave it at that. However, I do want to talk to you a little bit about reporting on ALEKS, right? Now, for a student always has access to a wide range of reports available for them. So as they work on ALEKS, they learn topics, they master, they attempt topics. A student always has access to their own reports, right? They can see how much time they've spent on the platform. And based on how much time they've spent within a certain week, how many topics they've learned, how many topics they've attempted but have not been able to learn. They can see what topics they've attempted and not learned. They can even see what they need more practice with. Now, you might say, okay, you know what? Students are not really keen on going back and looking at their own data and analytics. Well, this is a fantastic feature for parents to take use of. I'm a parent myself, and I think might have forgotten a lot of the math I've learned in school and university. However, if my child is going through a math course, and even if I'm not completely comfortable in the area of mathematics, I can go into their reports and see what are they struggling with, how much time have they spent, are they doing their work, and do they need more practice with a specific range of topics? And I can use these reports to guide my own child's instruction, right? So the student having access to their own reports is definitely very useful. And it can be used in a variety of different ways by the student themselves, by their parents, by any external tutors that might be helping them, or anything along those lines. Now, at this point, I will stop sharing, and I will leave a couple of seconds for you to ask any questions you have around the student interface as I jump back into my slides to talk a little bit about the instructor interface as well. So any questions so far? I'm just going to have a very quick look at it.
There are questions, and I'm happy to read them out for you if you want.
I can have a look at them, Sarah. Thank you. So the first question from Ali is around, is ALEKS aligned with Cambridge IGCSE and A-levels? That's a fantastic question, and I will answer it right now as I go over the instructor, the teacher interface. Now, while ALEKS might not be exactly aligned with the IGCSEs, Ali, what you can do is kind of form some sort of manual alignment, right? You can customize ALEKS exactly as you see fit, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Questions around teacher reporting, we're definitely going to cover that. How to stop the rapid guessing, that's fantastic as well. That problem sorts itself out because it's almost entirely open-ended questions on ALEKS, right? So students don't have multiple choice questions to guess from. They actually have to input their answers. And if they guess on that, it's most likely not going to be correct. So we have some similar questions out here that I will answer live. So I'm going to just kind of recap what we've learned in the student interface of ALEKS. And what makes ALEKS so effective is it focuses on this three-phase cycle of learning and assessment, right? That can definitely boost the personalized nature of learning that happens. We know about the assessment that happens initially as it kicks in with the initial knowledge check. The student then moves on into their personalized learning windows where they go through the learning cycle, and then the continuous reinforcement that happens, rehashing old learning objectives that students might have already mastered, helping make sure that they don't forget anything they've learned previously, that all of the knowledge is retained, and they can actually progress and complete the course having demonstrated mastery of all the topics that they've learned. Now, again, without further ado, I'm going to jump back out, guys. I'm going to go back into the teacher interface to show you what things look like from the teacher's point of view and all of the customization options that are available. And hopefully this helps answer a couple of the questions that you have had around customizability and making sure that you can align it with different curriculum or different kind of methods of teaching as well. Now, this is what you're looking at right now is an instructor or a teacher interface for ALEKS. There's a lot to talk about here, so I'll try and keep it concise and relevant. Right now, I'm on the same class that I was demoing out of. Within this umbrella, I don't have any students in right now because it's just a demo class. But what I'm going to do right now is show you some of the customization options that you have as an administrator or a teacher to deliver ALEKS to your classroom, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to go into class administration and click on class summary. Here you will get a general idea of how I've set up my class. So I am the instructor of this class. I've given it a name. I've set a start and end date to it as well. I've also aligned a textbook to it, right? So as you can see here, I'm currently aligned with the Reveal Math textbook. And if I want to see a standards correlation, I can see a correlation document here, to make sure that all my standards are covered. Now, what's important to talk about here is how you can customize the content within your ALEKS class. Now, as it starts out, ALEKS is automatically aligned to, there is a default setting for all of the topics that ALEKS covers within each grade level. The first thing that I see as a teacher, as I'm setting up my class or designing my class, are two options. Do I want my ALEKS class to be completely self-paced or to be organized into modules? Now, completely self-paced is the model that we were looking at when we went over the student interface, right? You might have noticed that as a student.
Sorry, you're sharing your screen.
Oh, am I not?
No.
Oh, sorry about that. So,
yes, thanks.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. So what you're looking at here are two options that we have in terms of setting up or designing your ALEKS course. We can either progress with a self-paced model or organize your course into modules. Now, self-paced is what we were looking at when we went over the student interface. You might have noticed that as a student, I could go into data and probability. I could go into rational numbers. I could go into, a variety of different topics, right? This is what self-paced topics look like. Now, if I do want to deliver a self-paced course to my students on ALEKS, I can then go in, and right now, because I'm aligned with Reveal Math, all of my topics on ALEKS are organized into the chapters that follow the Reveal Math flow. I could expand this to show you exactly at a very granular level all of the topics that are available within this wide umbrella, right? So out of a total of 863 topics, there's a default selection of approximately 400. These are all of the topics that ALEKS's instructional designers think are necessary for a grade 6 classroom. Now, at your school or at your institution, you might not agree, right? And what do you do if that's the case? For example, if you think that within integers, there are certain topics you don't want to cover, you could go in and deselect them at any point in time, right? So to explore the topic further, you could double click on it. It would pull up a new window. I hope you can see that right now, the new window. But it shows you an example of the question that students would face and what the explanation of this looks like as well, right? Now, this explanation and this preview exists for all of the topics within the program or within this particular course product. There are supplementary topics that are by default not selected, but they can always be included if you wanted to give your students an additional example or more problems to work through. So this is additional problems for chapter 3. And if I double click on that, this is, I believe, a problem that you can then view the explanation for. You could even solve it as an instructor to show you what the answer would be, and then decide, okay, you know what? I really like this question. I'm going to include this in my course, right? So as a self-paced model, you have the ability to explore all of the topics that are a part of your grade 6 curriculum and decide exactly which ones you want included and which ones you do not. What makes it easier for you as a teacher is that you don't have to do this from scratch. The default selections are already there for you. And if you don't teach with Reveal Math, for example, and you want to simply view the topics as they stand on their own, you can do that by simply navigating to a different view. I was looking at it from a textbook point of view, but now I'm simply looking at it from a subtopic point of view, where I have the same selection of topics, but instead of being organized by textbook chapters, I can view them as part of a wider ALEKS curriculum, right? So to answer your question about whether or not this can suit a different curriculum, whether it's IGCSE or A levels, it can, as long as you go in and you do your due diligence as a curriculum leader or as a teacher to make sure that you have topics selected that match the outcomes that you're looking for in your A levels or at your IGCSE levels, right? Now, what happens if, for example, you move into a different view, right? So we spoke about self-paced a little bit. Let's explore the modules. Now, the self-paced and modules, both of these implementation models come with their own sets of advantages and disadvantages, I would say, or drawbacks as a teacher. The self-paced model is what we call it the open pie model. It makes things very explorative and open for the student. A student that completes their initial knowledge check using the self-paced model will go into ALEKS and they will have a wide range of topics open to them. They can jump from data to decimals to fractions to probability, and they will go wherever ALEKS thinks is optimal for them. We understand that this can at times be a little bit chaotic, right? It's very useful for the students and it gives them exactly the knowledge that they need to know at the right time, but it can tend to be a little bit chaotic. The other option that you have in this case is to use organized modules, right? Now here you can either build out your own modules or use the modules that are built or based off of the textbook that you've aligned. So let's say I am going to use my textbook modules. Here now I have all of the topics, the same topics that I've chosen, right? But instead of being completely open, they're now organized into kind of categories or folders. Now here, what the student will experience is they would go through one module at a time, and all of the personalization and differentiation will happen within that module, right? So if I can explain further, within, for example, as a student starts out, I complete my initial knowledge check. Now here, I as a student go into my course readiness module to begin with, right? So after all of the students in my class complete their initial knowledge check, they are all placed within the course readiness module, which now has a start date and an end date. What every student will do now is go through with these topics that I have outlined or chosen for them within their course readiness module in a differentiated or a personalized way. So within the module, the learning is still personalized and every student is getting whichever topic applies to them. However, they are kept within the confines of this module and they cannot see anything else until a certain date passes or until they've demonstrated that they have mastered all of the topics within this module, right? So this definitely helps maintain a more traditional flow to your instruction if you are using ALEKS in that way. And it helps make sure that every student in your classroom is attempting the same chapter or the same module together at the same time. So every student will move from course readiness to ratios, to fractions, to integers, and so on and so forth, right? If you think that having a due date is a bit restrictive, there is another option available. So you do have the option of changing, still keeping the modular flow, but changing that to modules with percentage completion instead of dates. We find this implementation model to be quite popular as well, where instructors would design the modules that they need. Within the module, they can definitely customize it, right? So if I edit, let's say module 1, I can always go in, see all the topics that exist in module 1 as per the textbook, and decide, you know what, I actually don't want to talk about US customarily length of measurement because we use metric in the Middle East, so I can always remove that, right? And I can then drag and drop these topics out to remove them. I can go back in, select some other topics that perhaps I do want in there, something out of the supplementary, pick and choose, drag and drop, really make this ALEKS course your own, make this ALEKS course something that fits within all of the criteria of your school or of your program, and have that level of customization possible for you. Now, in this particular method, what happens is a student would go into module 1, and only when they complete 90% of module 1 will module 2 open up for them, right? This way, every student is learning one module at a time, but within that module, anything that they've already learned, they don't have to, or they've proven mastery of, they wouldn't have to attempt, and ALEKS will still make sure that differentiation, And personalized learning is happening within the confines of each and every individual module. There are post-module knowledge checks that are available for you as a teacher, whether if you want to include them, so you could always tick them on, tick them off based on what you think is best. This makes sure that after students complete a chapter, they are then faced with a quiz, right? An end of chapter quiz, you could call it, I suppose. And anything that the student gets wrong, they are then dropped back down and they have to go back in and learn those topics again before they move on to the next module. There are a wide range of customization options that are available. There are also kind of checks in place. For example, if I put module 2, now here I'm kind of upsetting the order of things, right? On purpose, just to show you what this would look like. So let's say I put module 3 before module 1 and I go and continue. What ALEKS will do is it will recognize that there is a difference in the flow here that is not optimal for student learning, right? Chapter 3 should not come before chapter 1 because it is counterintuitive to what students are going to, or to how students are going to learn. ALEKS will automatically organize topics in a way that makes the most sense for the students, right? And let's say if I decide to delete a lot of these topics, which I shouldn't really do, but again, for demonstration's sake, let's say I remove some really important topics out of my ALEKS course. And if I go to progress now, I'm going to delete a bunch of them just to kind of prove my point. And let's say I hit continue. What ALEKS will also do is offer you as a teacher prerequisite recommendations. So as you are designing your course, you're going over them topic by topic, perhaps you're adding content, you're removing content. Let's say you go a step too far, right? And you remove more than you should have, or you maybe forget to add something, or you miss a couple of topics here and there. ALEKS will do that due diligence for you. It will check to make sure that all of the topics necessary for the outcomes you are trying to achieve are included in your course. And it will give you this disclaimer. You always have the option of not listening to ALEKS, right? At the end of the day, you're the boss, you are the teacher, you know what's best for your students. But ALEKS will make sure that you know that, look, these are the topics that you might have missed out. We recommend that you include them in your course to form a more complete learning module for you as well as your students. So these are the various checks in place to make sure that you are able to create a course that works for you, that is also fulfilling student outcomes, and that is, that's something that you don't have to build from scratch, right? You have the default selections, you have the modules, you have the textbook alignment that is aligned to Common Core, and you can simply, get started with ALEKS while doing your little, changes that you need to do to make sure that it fits your school and your class. We know that no two schools are the same, no two classrooms are the same. So we want to make sure that we offer you the flexibility of working with ALEKS in a variety of different ways. The last thing I would talk about in this segment, I know we're a little bit short on time, is the fact that you always have the option of delivering non-adaptive assignments on ALEKS as well. So if you are more comfortable with a mix of adaptive, of personalized and non-personalized, you always have the ability to deliver traditional quizzes on ALEKS. Here you could go in to all of the content that ALEKS contains, which are all algorithmic, by the way. That's a very important thing that I forgot to mention. All of the questions on ALEKS are completely algorithmic. No two students will ever see the same values for the same topic. The values are always randomized and different for each and every student. But here's how you would design your own assignment or your own quiz from scratch. If you do want to build out your own exams or your own quizzes on ALEKS, you definitely have the ability to do so. Now, at this point, I will move on a little quickly, being conscious of time, to one of the core parts of ALEKS, which is its reporting and how you can use the data and analytics within ALEKS to really boost your teaching and learning that happens within your classroom, right? Now, for this, I'm navigating to a slightly different interface where I have access to fake student data to show you what things look like when students are enrolled in your course. So I'm going to select a grade 6 course again. I might have to log back into this, so just give me a few seconds to do that. So here I'm just accessing a free trial, which is what all of you can do as well. There will be instructions on how you can achieve this as well, but for now I'm just going to speed through it to show you what a classroom looks like when students are working inside it, when you have access to a lot of the data and reports within. So let me just quickly navigate to that. So yeah, what you're looking at right now on your screen is a classroom or a teacher dashboard of an active class. The first thing that you would notice is some information about your class. Average Pi progress. So this is students in your class working through the ALEKS Pi, your high achievers, your low achievers, students that have not recently logged in. So if someone hasn't been working on ALEKS, you could very easily shoot them a message. And then finally, let's have a look at some of the data points that ALEKS generates as students work through it, right? First of all, you have your average Pi report. It shows you as a teacher what your average completion is for your entire classroom. You could expand this, and it would show you what are the top ready-to-learn topics across your entire course, right? So this shows you as a teacher what topics are your students going to be most receptive to at any given point in time. Invaluable information, right? What are they ready to learn at any point in time? If you expand the chapters even more, it would show you what topics have been mastered completely by everyone, what topics are students are remaining, right? And you can even expand on that to show you exactly which students have yet to learn this particular topic, right? Which of those students are ready to learn it, right? So these are data points that ALEKS generates that are real time, that this is all real-time data that is happening live. All of this information and data that is generated can also be extracted. There are tutorials that you can watch that show you how to use this information in your classrooms as well. You can extract this as an Excel file if you need to, and so on and so forth. So the ALEKS Pi report is super useful. It shows you, all of the learning happening within your classroom at a very granular level and for each and every student. Now, if I go a step further, now I'm going to go back to my home page and use the double arrows over here to navigate to the next screen. There are a lot of reports available on ALEKS, and the data that's generated can be used in a variety of different ways. But I'll try and focus on just a few of them that can be of use to you. So we spoke about topics that are ready to learn. As an instructor, you can also see attempted topics that have not been learned. So these are topics that your students are trying to answer, but they're not getting them correct. This gives you information as a teacher, where are my students struggling, right? You might take this data, extract it, go through it, and then approach your next class with all of the information you need around where your students are struggling. Then we have the lost in recent assessment. I spoke a little bit about this, right? This is when it comes to knowledge retention. These topics are topics that your students might have learned at some point or mastered at some point, but have recently forgotten. And they've gotten them incorrect when asked to rehash or to prove their knowledge on these topics again. So all of these data points can be used in a variety of different ways to prove or to show you as a teacher how your class is doing, how each individual student is doing when compared to wider learning objectives. And then finally, the last thing I want to leave you with before we close off is the ability for students to see their own progress and to see exactly how learning works. This is just a dashboard for you to have a look at to see, a student can see what their progress has been, what topics they've gotten right, what topics they've gotten wrong, and then use this data, whether them, their tutors, or their parents can use this data to kind of help them improve at their math learning. The final thing that I will leave you with today, I know we're a bit short on time and I do want to cover everything, but the last thing I want to leave you with that you might be a bit curious about is how does ALEKS, how do you get started with ALEKS, right? You've heard a lot of useful things, I hope, today, but the great part about ALEKS is you don't have to start from scratch. The ALEKS programs and the portfolios, they come with the default topic selection, and all you need to do to get started is simply go into it, make the changes that you think work best for you and for your course, align the textbooks that you're working with if you need to do so, and you can then simply get started very easily. And in order to assist you in that journey, we have local implementation teams across the Middle East, whether you're from Saudi Arabia, from the UAE, or from the Gulf region, or from North Africa, we have local representation that are extremely well trained in ALEKS, and we provide a wide range of services, including live training for new users. We can do specific deep dives into reporting, into assessment. We can help you with integration and technical support and onboarding. And we can even connect you with successful ALEKS users in your country and in your region that have been using ALEKS for many, many years now, very successfully. So that is, I apologize for having to speed through the last segment of today's session, but I'll leave it there for now. And I hope you found the session today pretty useful. I will take the remaining time we have to go over some of the questions that we have. And yeah, thank you so much for attending. So a couple of questions that I'm going to cover. I noticed the first question around, can you align with any math book? There are a wide range of math textbooks that you can align with, not limited to Reveal. My Math is available as well. Even if you are using a Pearson or an HMH math book, you still can align ALEKS. Either use it without the textbook alignment, or you can use it with the textbook alignment to Pearson and to HMH as well. There's a question around similarity to map tests. It does accommodate for map tests. It goes a step beyond, I would say, but it's probably a question that I might be able to answer in a bit more detail offline. So definitely send us an email about that, Dana, if you still have that question, and we can, I think a couple of questions around map testing. And please, get in touch with us about that, and we can definitely expand on that a bit more. We probably don't have the time for it right now. I spoke a little bit about lesson planning and differentiation. So about ALEKS and Connect Ed and OLP, you can use the same account, and there is a single sign-on functionality built into it. You can simply seamlessly go in from Connect Ed into ALEKS using that integration. And some comments around viewing this recording again. Yes, definitely. Please go back and have a look at it again. I apologize if I kind of sped through some parts of it. It's a bad habit of mine. So please go in and look at the recording again, and it might help kind of expand and make some things a bit clearer. Student progress and demo accounts. So you will have avenues to reach out to your local McGraw Hill reps to get you access to demo accounts for yourselves as teachers, or if you want to experience things from a student point of view as well. Please do reach out to us. We're more than happy to provide, access to ALEKS. We definitely want you to go in and play around with it. As a rule of thumb, whenever we are, taking ALEKS out into the market, you can always bundle it with Reveal. I believe, Sarish, right? So you always have the ability to have Reveal Math and ALEKS together. But if you don't use Reveal, that's not a problem. ALEKS can be purchased or trial separately as well on its own. So there are a wide range of options available, regardless of what your situation is or who you are, whether you're a teacher, administrator, or even if you're not a math teacher, you're just a parent, you want ALEKS for your kids, reach out to us, and we can definitely see if that's something we can help you with.
Thanks,
so thank you so much for the session today.
Thanks.
Thank you. I hope you found it informative, and yeah. Hope you have a great day,
there's a
everyone.
lot that we covered in 60 minutes. So I appreciate you being, and I know, Shahid, it was tough to catch over everything in that short time. So thanks a lot. And thank you everyone for joining. I think a couple of people are asking about how do I start using this platform? So, and yes, as Shahid said, it can be used as a standalone as well. So there is Reveal Math bundled with ALEKS, but even if you're using another program, you can still have ALEKS as standalone. And we're cross time now, so I'm just going to drop the email address where you can contact us, and we are happy to connect you with a rep in your region who can give you a demo access, and it can give you more information on the pricing as well, because I see some people were asking that as well. So it's marketing.mia@mheducation.com. You can email us there. I repeat that once again for you. Email us at marketing.mea@mheducation.com, and we can help you out. Thank you so much for your time and joining us today. Until next time, I guess. Yes, we will be sharing the recording. So I think you should have it by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I mean, soon as tomorrow, most likely. So you'll have the recording and the certificate of participation. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.
Bye.